Three, two. Good morning, everyone. Hello, menopause ladies, midlife ladies, everyone going through this beautiful time of life. I have recently made the acquaintance or reacquaintance of Getrude, and I'm so excited to be chatting with her now about her life and what's going on and what she's offering. But first of all, Gertrude, would you just tell us a little bit about your menopause story or your midlife story? What's been happening for you?
Oh, wow. What a journey it's been, Brenda. You are warned that it's coming, but I don't think as women we're ever quite prepared for what this change is really all about. So I think I started going into perimenopause at about age 45. My period started being very irregular. And for the last 5 to, oh goodness, almost 8 years, I've been transitioning in a very, very magical way. The last few years have been a bit challenging in that this is when I started noticing my energy levels were down, my stress levels were high. I was one of those people who's always just on the go, constantly running, doing stuff. And when I started realizing that I'm losing my energy levels, that started to get really worrying for me. And of course, all of the stuff that goes with your memory loss. I had a photographic memory. I could read a piece of text and say it back to you in the same, 5 minutes.
Wow.
That was starting to wane as well. So it's been a real challenge, a real journey of discovering how to rewire my brain, how to remember things, how to do things differently. The hot flushes, I think, was the biggest challenge for me. Um, but I found that with exercise, if I went out for a walk for an hour, 2 hours, I would get a better quality of sleep. So exercise has been a
Wow.
big, big, big part of my
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
healing, if you like. It's been interesting.
I'm just having a few technical issues, so sorry, my eyes are moving around a little bit, but we've sorted them out. Um, and one of the things that my goal is to teach women who are going through those similar types of symptoms but not really aware of what's going on. First of all, what's going on, but then all the
Yes.
natural remedies that can be used, all the beautiful natural things that you can do to support yourself with energy and hot flushes and memory and all those kinds of things. So thank you for mentioning those. But anyway, today's about you. And you recently interviewed me on her story and around her story. Would you tell us a little bit about, what's your current mission at the moment? What are you doing in the world at the moment?
Oh, I am on a mission to connect 1 million women through the power of our stories. I believe that each of our stories is like a door into another world, that whatever you're going through as a woman, you can teach somebody else and make the journey a little bit easier for the next person who's going through something similar.
Mm.
And so I've been curating women's stories for the last 2 years. I started in July 2019. I think we have over 1,000 stories of women from all over the world, 45 countries. And it's been fascinating. We interview women or women come and present around business and entrepreneurship, health and wellness, family and relationships, creativity, social justice, you name it.
Mm.
And it has been one of the best projects I've been involved in a very, very long time.
And what have you personally learned from it all, Gertrude? How has it made your life better?
It's been fulfilling in the sense that I'm focusing on others. So
Mm.
part of the mission is to curate all of these stories into a series of books. We have a Her Story magazine, so we publish the stories in our magazine. And through my publishing company, we sell these magazines and we raise money for social impact. So
Mm.
every woman who comes to the platform can either come with a project that inspires them, It could be somebody in your neighborhood who has started a soup kitchen and she's feeding the homeless because of COVID. And as a collective, through the selling of our books, we can fund $5,000. And know 5,000 people got a meal that day. So we're looking for very grassroots projects, very, very close to home. And if you don't have anything that's inspiring you in your environment, you can plug into the existing projects that we've already started putting together as well.
Yes, yes. So you feel that you're giving fulfilled because you're giving back as well. I'm curious about how you're evolving as a woman.
Yeah, that's really what gives me joy.
Mm.
It keeps me energized, it keeps me motivated. And, when I look back at the results that we've had over the last few years, a lot of the women who are stepping onto our platform have never spoken before in public. So I was targeting women over 50, women like me, and really just empowering us to use our voices for good.
Yes.
And the ripple effect has been amazing, dear Brenda. Like I have the husbands emailing me and saying, "What have you done to my wife?" The sons, the nephews. And so we ended up opening up the platform to men. So 25% of our speakers are male. I've realized that until we start bringing men into the rooms where we discuss these women's issues, nothing much is going to change for the condition of women worldwide. So
Yeah.
that's another exciting thing that's come out of all of this.
And that's how we met, of course, because you're
Yes.
way further down the line than I am, but I'm making my mark slowly.
Yeah.
And also, we have a connection through Zimbabwe. So you're from Zimbabwe originally. Can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that story?
So I was born in Zimbabwe, 1967. I'm 54, 53. What am I? Gosh, I'm losing track of time.
50 plus, that's all it counts.
And I moved to New Zealand, 21 years ago. So this is my second pandemic. I lived at a time where family members were dying of AIDS.
Wow.
By the time I got to New Zealand 21 years ago, HIV and AIDS had impacted my family in a very big way. My grandmother had 11 children. She had 34 grandchildren. 19 of my first cousins died of AIDS, including my youngest brother. So there were 49 orphaned children on my side of the family alone, another 40 on my ex-husband's side. So I wanted to reach back home. I wanted to make sure these kids got to university, got to school, got food, got access to the medication. And I self-published my first book as a way to raise money.
Wow.
That book took on a life of its own, Brenda. It turned me into this inspirational speaker. It turned into a profession for the last 21 years. I have been to 51 countries as a keynote speaker in conferences, and especially women's conferences. And so that's how I've been funding my project, was through the sales of my book. Very, very fulfilling when you can look back and look at the children you helped 21 years ago who've managed to go to school, get an education, get a profession. It's very exciting.
Wow, you're such an inspiration. And I'm going to share this video on all my platforms so we can spread the word and work together in that beautiful feminine way, that feminine way of connecting in this I call it in circles.
Yes, definitely.
But I'm
What
curious.
intrigued me when I met you, though,
Pardon?
what intrigued me when I met you and Jules is that you were two women from Australia who went to Africa and helped.
Yeah.
I created a tourism company to bring people to Zimbabwe, to live in our communities, to get to experience the children and meet them in person. And I just feel so blessed that our paths crossed, that there are more women like you in the world who say, I can make a difference. I can go to Africa. I can go and help.
Yes.
It's just fascinating that there are so many go-givers out there.
Yes.
And it's when we start to connect as women and collaborate and support each other that we have power.
Yeah, I think you're right. it's that wanting to give back wasn't always there for me. It was something that's evolved and become stronger and stronger, and is now, almost it's my whole life. Whereas you've been doing it for 20 years. You've been creating businesses, or longer, creating businesses and supporting people. So my question to you is about, there's a lot of women who get to this 50-year-old age and they're a little bit lost. They've looked after families, the children have left home, maybe the relationship's not that great with their husbands, maybe their fulfillment at work isn't that great, but they're just sitting in a holding pattern, not sure what to do with their lives. What advice would you give for women like that who need to find that within themselves?
I find that by giving to others, you're giving to yourself. It feeds your soul. My grandmother used to say that this universe is like a giant bank. She said you have to keep depositing good deeds. And the funny thing is, it comes back tenfold from the most unexpected sources. I have had what I call a spirit-led life. I've had people who've crossed my path who will do things that are so out of this world. I'm in joy and inspired every single day. So I wake up like it's Christmas every day. It's like, who am I going to meet today? And
Yes.
life can be like that. And you can find your way back home to yourself in giving. So that's the advice I would give. If you look outside of your current situation, and it could be just smiling at a stranger in a supermarket, that can make somebody's day. It could be paying attention to your next door neighbors. I lived in a street for the last 21 years where I didn't know most of my neighbors. I knew the people to the left and to the right and directly opposite my house. In Zimbabwe, I lived in a street with 50 families where we knew every single household, the parents' names, the children, the grandparents. We had a sense of community in that street, which I haven't found in the Western world. But something magical happened with COVID. One of my neighbors, quite a few houses down, came and dropped letters in everybody's letterboxes when we were in lockdown. And he introduced himself and his wife, gave us their cell phone numbers and said, hey, it's time for us to connect as a community. If anybody needs help, if you need us to pick up your prescriptions or your groceries, this is Dave. My wife is Margaret. Feel free to contact us. Then he created a Facebook group. And, there were little things that I got to do. There was a lady in my street who was disabled, couldn't get care for her children. She's in a wheelchair, struggling with 2 little kids. So I reached out to her and I said, look, if you want, every 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get the kids on Zoom. I could read them some African stories. And for an hour, I was able to entertain her little children. And she could just sit back and have a cup of tea. And, it was remote, but I could give relief to another woman for just an hour. It could be 20 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. You just don't know the impact you're going to have on somebody else's life. And especially now with COVID, when everybody's struggling at home.
Yes. And I think we're going to get even more opportunities for that as we change again, we pivot again, as we, move into the unknown and this resetting and refreshing that's going on. And a lot of people are having, that they don't want to do it live their lives the same way they used to. They want more community, more connection. And I think it's a very female thing as well.
It is.
And another reason I've loved connecting with you, because you're giving us a great example of that. So one more, another question regarding giving. I associate with a lot of women who also consider themselves to be spirit-driven, to live spirit-led lives. A lot of those women struggle with making money.
Okay.
charging their worth and
Yes.
making money and having enough commitment in their business to make it more of a hobby and to take themselves seriously, even though they might be baking cookies or something. So, how have you used your businesses? How have you used giving back to inspire success in your businesses? How have you worked through that psychologically with the spirit side of things?
I've always believed that I am a channel. I am a vessel that Spirit, God uses to make a difference in the world, and money passes through me so I can make a difference in other people's lives. That's been my mantra my whole life. And the weird thing is, when you start believing that, it happens. I've had situations in my businesses where I've had windfalls of cash. I'll give you a classical example. So I'm a storyteller. I moved to New Zealand. I'm intrigued in the making of Lord of the Rings. And because I live in Wellington, Peter Jackson lives in Wellington, and he's giving lectures and talks all over the city talking about how they made Lord of the Rings. And I'll be honest with you, I cyber stalked the guy. I was at every presentation he gave. And then one day I went to a presentation. It wasn't him speaking, but the guy who designed the spider in Lord of the Rings. And I'm at the back of this hall. I'm thinking, I used to be an actress in Zimbabwe. I haven't done it for like 20 years, but I wouldn't mind acting in one of these films. So I put up my hand and I just asked the question. And they were casting for the movie King Kong. And they were looking for African extras for one of the scenes. So this guy says to me, look, send me your photograph, send me your CV. I emailed it through. The next day, I got cast to take part in 2 scenes in King Kong. When I went in for my wardrobe fitting, I thought I was special. And I'm talking to the casting director. Why did I get 2 parts? And she said, Getrude, we're actually looking for 350 African people. That's why we had to double you up. I
Wow.
saw a business opportunity in that moment. I was already in the recruiting business. I had a health recruiting business. And I said to her, I know a lot of African people. Can I come and present my business case to you? She said, sure. Come on Tuesday. I met her on a Thursday. In one weekend, I went all over Wellington with my kids with digital cameras hitting on anyone brown. We recruited Maori people, Indian people, and I created a database that I sold to Peter Jackson. And I ended up supplying all of the ethnic extras that took part in King Kong and Avatar. Now, what this meant is I would wake up on a Friday and I was getting 20%. People were working 80, 40-hour days. And I would wake up on a Friday, there's like 50, $60,000 in my bank account, and I've done nothing. I
Wow.
just created a database that I sold to Weta, and I was getting 20% of all of the people who took part in those scenes. Now, I've always believed that I need to put the oxygen tank on me first.
Yes.
I have managed to enrich myself first. But when I have that extra, that's when the giving comes. So you
Oh,
can't give to somebody unless you are okay.
yes.
You have to make sure that whatever your business is, you make sure that you're able to pay your bills, you're comfortable. Then the
Mm-hmm.
excess can spill over. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I coach women on. How can you create a robust business that takes care of you first?
Mm-hmm. Well, I
And then
like
it becomes easy to give.
yeah, and I like your idea of leveraging your time as well, so that you're not working your guts out every time for
It's about
years.
working smart and not hard, and
Mm-hmm.
not exchanging your hours for dollars.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people build a business model where if they're not there, the business doesn't
Mm.
continue. So when
Yes.
you create a business where you can be out of that equation and you've got residual income that comes in different aspects, that's when you're successful in business. A lot of times we're working in our businesses and not on it.
Mm.
And
Well,
that's the mistake.
I'm still there. I'm still working in my business, but with the plan to lift out and do all of that. So thank you for the inspiration.
That is awesome.
All right, so let's finish off with anything that you would like to you've already mentioned your Her Story platforms. How can someone contact you or follow you up? What's the best way for that to happen?
Right now, I'm looking for women's stories. I need 1 million stories from all over the world. So if you're listening and you feel you've got this thing in your heart that needs to be shared with the world, go onto our website, theherstoryscircle.com, and register. And we support you, we mentor you, we help you to prepare for one of our events. Again, it can be a platform for you to expand your business because we have a series of presentations in 1 month. In the next month, you get to run a workshop. So we're looking for that transfer of knowledge, those fascinating women who have stories and they can teach. So everybody who's been in business, everybody who's trying to get into business, the quickest way for you to make money is to teach what you do. I've
Yeah.
made more money teaching people to do what I do than to do what I do.
Mm.
So please join us. Herstoryscircle.com is the website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your generous offer of your time this morning to chat with me and for the inspiration that you give us. And there's so much more there, I know. So hopefully we'll be in touch again. I'll be following that up with you as well. So thank you, Gertrude.
Thank you for sharing my story. Wonderful to be connected today.